Hi everyone, today your goal is to illustrate the profile of a landscape between 2 points on a topographic map. So what you're going to need is this map, which actually should look quite familiar because we did a practice assignment using the same map where you had to identify points of high elevation, low elevation, and basically reading a topographic map for some information. Today we're going to take this image and see what it looks like from kind of like a side view angle. So what the landscape actually looks like if you were standing on the ground somewhere and looking at the landscape. So to do that, we have a pre-designed piece of graph paper, really is what this is. And on the y-axis is our elevation from the lowest elevation to the highest. So what I did is I looked at the map and I figured out what the lowest elevation was on this map, and then I figured out what the highest was, and I started with the lowest at the bottom and made my way to the highest at the top. Along the bottom, the x-axis here, I have these little dashes or tick marks, whatever you want to call them, that go all the way along the side from this point that is labeled x to this point that is labeled y. The numbers that are underneath these tick marks are actually the elevation marks from this map. So if you look at this map closely, there is a y down here in the bottom corner and an x up here in the top corner. All I did was I took this graph paper and I lined up the y over the y at the bottom corner and the x that's in this corner over the x in this corner of the map, and wherever there was a contour line that met my x-axis here, that's what these tick marks represent. So the little lines or the dashes or the tick marks, whatever it is that you want to call them, those represent where a contour line would have met the x-axis. The point is to see a landscape view, so you want to see like the shape of the valley that's here from the map down here is what I should say. So for this practice version, all you're going to have to do, because I give you all the data already on this graphing paper, is actually put a point where each of the contour lines is. So this contour line between points x and y, it says 320 in the bottom corner. I'm going to put a point on the graph at 320, which is right about here. And this is going to be the first point in the landscape view from looking at the map between points x and y. I do the same thing for this line down here, which is labeled 340. So I'm going to go up from that line and put a point at 340, which is right here. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way across this graph paper. And eventually, I'll connect these lines, and in the end, I will have a map, or I'm sorry, a graph that shows the landscape from a side view. So I can tell that there's a valley. This hill, which is the hill that is right here, is Pine Peak. This depression, which is right here, is this depression on the map, which is Spring Pond. So what I did with this one, this example, is I just taped the actual graph paper to where it was between points x and y. So I matched up the x-axis again, and then I can look at the map. So I'm looking at a top-down view of the landscape with a topographic map, and then I'm looking at it from a two-dimensional view, a side view of what the landscape actually looks like from the side using this graph paper here. So this is what a profile is. It gives us a sense of the shape of the landscape, and it shows us, I guess, another representation of how water would flow through a watershed. So this is your practice assignment just to get familiar with making a profile of a landscape using this topographic map. The other practice is a watershed profile, So this paper is linked up already on Google Classroom, and the image for making this profile is already up on Google Classroom, but here's a hard copy. And basically what you're going to do is make two profiles of 2 points in the Connecticut River watershed. So we have a spot in the watershed here, which is Hartford, and then another spot which is in Greenfield, Massachusetts. And you're going to make a profile of what the watershed or what the riverbed looks like between those points. I have the images up on Google Classroom. Like I said, you're going to follow the directions at the top of this paper to be able to make the profile. It's a little bit more challenging because I did not give you the elevation marks where these dashes are on the x-axis like I did on the other practice sheet, like this one, where I already gave you the marks at the bottom on the x-axis. I'm talking about this right here. So you're going to have to fill them in on your own here and make the profile of the landscape at Hartford, Connecticut, and Greenfield, Massachusetts. If you finish this, make sure that you answer question 5 down here. Question 5 is comparing and contrasting, so how things are similar and how they are different. For some of you, I think my A4 class, you had finished the Roaring Brook topographic map questions in class with me the other day. The bottom here, there was a part that I said was not required, and that's the extend your learning, which was actually on the back side. What I would like for you to do is you could either use this paper or you can use a piece of graph paper from the bins at the back of the classroom and make a profile, or at least sketch a profile, of what the landscape looks like between the 2 roads where Cotton Hollow was. So Cotton Hollow was here, and there's a road here and a road here. So you would pick 2 points in between those roads, and you would draw what the profile looks like between those 2 points. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I hope that this video helps you understand profiles a little bit more. I'm going to put up some more links to resources that I have used in the past to help you understand a profile and how to make one. Thank you.